Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I am Morris Merriweather, the host of Straight Talk in Room 503 and the author of Enough is Enough. Public education has spiraled out of control. Ladies and gentlemen, I normally begin my broadcast into you from the class of 503 on every Sunday and Monday. But ladies and gentlemen, too much is going on in public education for me to wait until Monday or Sunday. So I'm coming to you on a Tuesday because we need to deal with public education. It has spiraled out of control at a very rapid rate. And I got some things that we need to deal with. Ladies and gentlemen, society has allowed our leaders to lead us down a dark path. I'm reminded of the devil. The devil come to kill, steal, and destroy. We have some of our most respectful leaders who have come with the same agenda as the devil to kill, steal, and destroy public education while building up private schools for their children. Ladies and gentlemen, that's wrong. Just the last week, 94 schools in Detroit closed because of funding, bad working conditions, and yet you have distinguishing leaders who shows up every Sunday morning in church, Sunday school, even superintendents of Sunday school, with the Bible under their arm, destroying public education. Ladies and gentlemen, that is wrong. My question before we go to break, where is our religious community? Where is our church folks now? The people who say, I'm a Christian and I'm on my way to heaven. While they're on their way to heaven, public education is on its way downstairs. So ladies and gentlemen, we got to do something. Stay with me. I'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again so much for joining me again in the class of Straight Talk in Room 503. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a few notes here, and if you'll be so kind, is to let me thumb through them. So if you hear the crinkling of paper, I don't want to miss this message that I have for you in the middle of this week. Ladies and gentlemen, I finally had a premonition and figured it out. We have a problem, and that is we must tell the children. In public education, we're not sitting down with the children, explaining to the children from which we came, for where we are, and where we need to be. That's something we're not doing. We have turned a whole generation over to electronic devices. They know how to get on the cell phone and play games and videos and what have you. We're the instant generation. We're tweeting, Instagramming, Facebooking, but we're not telling them what is going on with public education. And if they don't receive a good education, just like the students in private school, that they're going to be left behind. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to deal with the raw facts today. So if you're not used to the raw facts, why don't you skip this session? Because this session, I'm going to tell you straight just like it is in Room 503. We must tell the children. We must tell the children about the journey that God has us on and have them on. We must help them over it and through the journey. And we must tell them how we got over. Ladies and gentlemen, there was a article in the local paper in my hometown, and it talked about integration, segregation, and now the third session will be on the closing of one of our distinguishing high schools. The leaders of this community have sit back and allowed those people who come to kill, steal, and destroy to close one of our house schools. And it's not the oldest high school, ladies and gentlemen. They allowed it to just slowly, little by little, deteriorate to a point, we got to close it, it's deteriorating. Kids don't want to come there no more. What kids don't want to come there no more? The African American community is tending there. Well, let's not talk about that, Mr. Merriweather. You may be in the class of Straight Talk, but we're in the class of Let's Keep It Crooked. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the reason why Donald Trump is so popular now. Because he's willing to deal with it whether we like him or not. I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump. The one thing I say, he's one of the students in 503 because he's telling it straight. Ladies and gentlemen, and we don't like it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got to quit being bitter. We got to tell our children so our children will understand the struggle. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1967, I was among the first African Americans that went to private school, went to segregated schools. And ladies and gentlemen, I had a tough time. But my parents told me of their struggle for education, how important it was for me to get a good education, how important it was for my four sisters to get a good education if we were going to make it. By the grace of God, and she taught us how, and he taught me how, my father, how to pray, how to go to church, how to go to Sunday school, and how to get it right, how to treat people right. And all five of my mothers and my parents, all five of their children done extremely well with the grace of God. We give it all credit to God Almighty and for our parents. And it was not only just our parents. It was the neighbors, the Sunday school teacher, the teacher at school, the principal at school, the average person on the street. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just let our students and our children get away from us. But ladies and gentlemen, I figured out this. Every race or ethnicity place some fire inside their children. What do you mean by that, Professor Meriwether? Ladies and gentlemen, if you remember the story of Ruth, I got a little tongue twisted there. The story of Ruth. How they told their children about the struggle of how they was in slavery and what they had to do to survive it. How someone was able to make it to freedom. They passed that round from generation to generation to generation. The Indians, they do the same. Everybody is telling their children about the struggle. African Americans, we have gotten away from it. We've had a little prosperity and we've gotten away from it. And the good old boys in the powers that be have taken advantage of that. They have allowed us to get on certain boards, move to certain neighborhoods, get certain bank accounts, getting certain credit card accounts, have a little money in our pocket, and we have forgotten from which we come, and we are not telling our children of the struggle. But ladies and gentlemen, there was a struggle during those days of integration. Ladies and gentlemen, in my book and in my documentary, I tell people about the fact that when I arrived at Jackson High School, all the struggles I had to go on the N word, the hiding of the books, the spitballs, the not want to cooperate, not returning my, trying to think of what it is now, it's been so long since I've been out of school, about my turn paper. Everybody got their turn paper back. My turn paper was on slavery, and it was passed throughout the high school for those who wanted to read what Meriwether wrote about in his paper, turn paper. Then, ladies and gentlemen, the coach allowed the gym class. I was the only African American in the class to jump on me during a boxing match because I was winning. I was getting the best of Dickie. But I remember looking up and seeing the coach nod his head, didn't know what that meant, but that meant get him. They knocked me out. I was in the Coliseum, which was across or away from the high school. Somehow my gym class and the coach put my street clothes back on and brought me across campus, over 200 feet back to the campus with my clothes on, and told my parents that I lost the battle. That's how I got knocked out. But there are good people in every race. Some of my good students told me, well, I didn't participate, but the coach allowed and told the students to jump on you. But ladies and gentlemen, it did not hurt me. It made me stronger. But there's still, here it is, 2016. 2 hours of my life is missing because no one has told me the full story. But I will persevere. I got God on my side. Great is he who's in me than the whole world. There's no one that can do any harm to me because I have God inside me. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to hear the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, we must tell our children about the struggle of public education. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what perpetuated the Ku Klux Klan. They was telling their children about what has happened, how they taught them to hate. They taught them how they was better than the black race. And we should be teaching our children the struggle about public education, how our parents had to walk 5 and 10 miles to school, how we had to get there and start the fire in the old pet by the stove, how we struggled for textbooks. But I wasn't willing to sit there in my high school and continue to read books that the white students had finished. How was I going to compete and keep up with them if I'm reading secondhand books? So I went to my mom and I said, I want to go to integrated schools. God made me special. I'm just as good as anybody else. Better than none, but good as any. And she allowed me to be one of the students to integrate school along with my sister now. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to be deciding to make a difference. What's your purpose in life? I know that I'm supposed to bring you the unadulterated truth. There's no doubt in my mind. Ladies and gentlemen, we're making too many excuses. And now, if you just look at what's going on in America with global warming, I told you over and over again, if we don't deal with public education, it will have the same effect as global warming. And it's beginning to have that. It's incarceration over education. So many of our students now are in alternative school. 13% of the population in St. Quentin is African American, but 47%, we make up 13%, but 47% of the inmates at St. Quentin is African American. Someone's fell into children while we're in church singing songs, raising our hands and praising God and reading the Bible and pretending that we're on our way to heaven. And there's no truth with it, ladies and gentlemen. You're on your way to hell faking it. You're trying to fake it till you make it, but you won't ever make it if you keep going like you're going. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the truth. Now we have a big problem on our hand as well. We're dealing with transgender going to the restrooms in public places. Now there's a possibility that those who are looking like a male ends up in the room in the same restroom with your children. We must now deal with that. You can't do wrong and hold students back and expect to not have any problem. For the Bible says that's what you sow, you reap. Ladies and gentlemen, and we're just beginning the harvest. It's harvest time. When you ask yourself, what's going on, Brother Meriwether? Only thing I do is say, it's harvest time. You can't plant seeds and it does not come up. But we must teach our children from which they come and where we need to go. Ladies and gentlemen, think about this. The problem that we're having overseas, that's because we're not telling our children all about the truth and where they come. Every other place, even overseas, they're including children in the fight. And ladies and gentlemen, we got to do something. They are teaching the kids how to hate. They're teaching the kids how to fight. And you got small children bearing arms against America. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to do something. Segregation has hurt us, but integration has not helped everybody either. And you remember that when you look overseas and you see them teaching the children doctrine that is not good for America, and they even, little kids, suicide bombers, little kids being used, being told that you will end up in heaven if you carry this bombing out. And they're destroying lives of innocent people, all because we're not willing to do that is right. Oklahoma, tornadoes hitting. Canada, fire out of control. Mudslides. Ladies and gentlemen, God is not pleased with us not telling the truth to the children. We know that public education is on the decline. We have students as we get ready to close the school, they're angry. They're talking about destroying the school because the religious community, where is the fraternity, the Masons, the Women's Federation Club, the NAACP, the ministers who are on Sunday morning looking real good in their suit standing in the pulpit. Why are we not telling the congregation we're in trouble? We're fighting right now for a budget in my hometown. They're trying to pass a budget that is 2 and 3 times larger than it's ever been because they're saying the schools are dilapidated. They're deteriorating. What they're going to do, they're trying to slick a budget through. In my hometown at the Early College High School, the contractor, the chairman of the school board, has misled the people. And they said they made a mistake on the estimate for the building. They made a $600,000 mistake. And now they're trying to say we need more money. How do I know that you need more money and you're making $600,000 mistake? Do you really know what you want? Ladies and gentlemen, they know that when we put in over nearly $500,000 or over $500,000, right at $1 million, 800 and some $1,000 in a school that's sitting over in the inner city, the same school where the white students would not attend. Now we're trying to tell them you can go over here and get some credits for Early College High School. What make you think they're going to come to the same building where they're offered a medical academy and only 50 students showed up and they closed it and put it in a school where the school been wanted? Mark my words, this Early College High School is going to end up in that same school where they want it to be. They are just trying to bullwinker and bamboozle the African American community. And we're sitting back while things go on. Ladies and gentlemen, I just wonder where the so-called intelligent people, why the so-called Christian people, where are they now when our students need them? We must save public education. And if we save public education, we save our children. We will have to go to God in prayer if we're going to save this thing. This thing is getting out of control. Ladies and gentlemen, somehow, some way, we have got to tell the truth. Unless we teach our children about the struggle, that's why they're not concerned about education. We haven't taken the time as a community, as a society, and explained to them that all of God's children must get an education, must be given an opportunity to get a quality education. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for my tongue-tiedness, but I'm just disappointed in public education all across the country. It's the same thing. It's no different in your hometown and in my hometown. You are just as asleep in your hometown as the people are in my hometown. No one is really dealing with it. Every now and then you read a little article in the paper about public education. But is it on the agenda in your hometown? Is it on the agenda when you have your club meetings? When we have our meeting at the churches? Are we talking about it? Are we going to wait until there come a time when we're going to need more jails, just like now? Our county commissioners have made sure that $30 million has been set aside to incarcerate your children. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have any children in public school, but I'm concerned about yours. I'm concerned about my nieces, my nephews, my cousins. I'm concerned about my neighbors across the street, regardless of their race and of their background. We're all children of God. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you will wake up and join me as we try to turn this thing around to save public education. Then if not, we are all in the Lamb Book of Life, and we shall all answer, what do we do for public education? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on this Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever you're looking at the broadcast. And I hope that I have stirred up your conscience to make you say it is time that I ask myself, what will I do for the children? Because you made it to where you are, not on your own, but because of God and because of the mercy and grace and because of the parents that you had and because of neighbors and because of people who took a chance on you, invested in your life. And now you're sitting back with your hands folded, not willing to invest in nobody's life. but yet you're on your way to heaven and calling yourself a Christian. That's a lie, and the truth is not in you. And I thank you for allowing me to come straight forward with you and tell you from the class of 503, Straight Talk in 503, that we must do all we can to save the children of public education, because they will have to compete with those in private school. Ladies and gentlemen, we are paying mega bucks. Those in private school, they understand it. They're willing to pay the enormous fee to go to private school and pay property tax to make sure that they hold your children back. Ladies and gentlemen, that's wrong. Thank you for allowing me to talk to you. Again, I'm Morris Merrill, the host of Straight Talk in Room 503 and the author of Enough is Enough. You may also go to my website, www.morrismerriweather.com, and there you'll find videos, and you can leave me comments, and you can email me. I'll be very glad to answer your question, do whatever I can to improve public education. Until I see you the latter part of this week at another class of Straight Talk, ladies and gentlemen, take care.